Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cookbook Chronicles. We're going to continue our deep dive into The Wok by Kenji Lopez-Alt. And I'm going to correct myself a little bit here because he is no longer associated with Worsthall. He sold his stake years ago, so I wanted to get that right. But we are going to take a deep dive into eggplant today. But first, I want to throw in an additional recipe for honey and mustard miso dip, which is here. I'm going to serve this dish alongside the eggplant and the rice. That is going to be the main focus of this recipe today. Also, the photo that you saw before was kind of the spread of what my meal was that evening. And we just roasted some chicken, had a nice beautiful side of cucumbers, which I dipped into this sauce right here. The sauce itself is fantastic all around. I used it for cucumbers, some carrots, and even dipping the chicken in it was just delicious. The following evening, I made some fried chicken breasts, breaded it in some panko, and dipped it into the sauce. It was fantastic. Chef's kiss. Definitely make this recipe. It's good. Really good. I can't hype it up any more than I already am. If you could see my face right now, it's just smiling and slightly salivating at the thought of having the sauce again. Enough about this amazing sauce. Let's get back to the wok by Kenji Lopez-Alt and the dish that we're going to mainly focus on, which is the stir-fried eggplant with sake miso. As I said before, it's Japanese comfort food, and it just hits all the right notes. It's sweet, it's savory, has just an unbelievable amount of flavor to it. And whether you like eggplant or not, or just kind of looking for a quick, flavorful meal, this is a great recipe to utilize your wok and the technique of stir-frying. Stir-frying eggplant is such a great way to elevate its natural, creamy texture, and with the addition of sake and miso, it transforms into something special. We're talking about big, bold flavors here with just a handful of ingredients. And I know eggplant doesn't have the biggest cult following, but it's pretty good when properly prepared. I mean, you could have it in like an eggplant parmesan. Fantastic. You could have it stir-fried, such as you'll see later in the video. It's bitter, yes, but there are ways and techniques to get the bitterness out of the eggplant. And I think it's more so a texture thing maybe that people don't necessarily enjoy. Baba ganoush, like eggplant, it's just delicious. So good. Eat it. Now we're going to move into what you came here for. The eggplant. I learned this technique for preparing eggplant by reading the wok, and it's really strange and doesn't seem like it would work. And don't get me wrong, there are a few different ways people prepare eggplant. Some will steam eggplant, some will salt it and let the moisture pull from the eggplant to get the bitterness out. And this technique for brining the eggplant in salt water, I was under the impression that it wasn't going to work just because, you're adding water into something that's already a sponge and just sucks up all flavor and everything you throw at it. But he explains that after a 10-minute soak in salt water, the eggplant pieces didn't necessarily look different, but once you pat them dry with paper towels or a linen of some sort, he weighed them and saw that they actually lost weight during their soak. He explained that osmosis is the culprit to what made this eggplant more tender and lighter after he weighed it. But what he says is that as long as the concentration of salt outside of the eggplant is higher than the concentration of the inside of the eggplant, the water cells should be forced outward in attempting an equilibrium. So roughly 60 grams of salt to each liter of water, which is about a quarter cup of kosher salt per quart, or 32 ounces of water, worked really well. So I followed the same instructions and allowed the eggplant to brine for about 15 to 20 minutes. You'll see me pat them dry a little bit later, but it worked great. The eggplant actually felt more tender and more crisp, if you will. But yeah, like I was very shocked, amazed, and happy that it worked. I didn't have to add any more salt to the main dish either, but I feel like I could probably try this on a few other vegetables and it might work. Maybe I'll try an experiment in later videos. But yes, do this. Do it. And you'll kind of be blown away by the texture and the results of your final dish. When I make this dish again, one thing that I would change is the way I cut the eggplant. Because I use an electric stove, obviously there's no flame that is gonna get the whole wok completely hot. So frying it is very difficult using the batons like this. Either way, like I have to do it in small, slow batches, but I feel that if I cut them differently, he explains another method of cutting eggplant for stir fries in the wok, and I'm definitely going to try that next time I do another eggplant focused dish. Just because, again, like I want more surface area. It'll take a little bit longer, but yeah, like electric stove it's weird. It's good for some things, bad for wok cooking, or not necessarily bad, but it's just not as effective as a open flame burner, if you will. As you could see here, I am completely submerging the eggplant in the water. This way it all brines equally. There's little oxidation. And from here, gonna throw it into the fridge, let it marinate for 10-20 minutes. I wouldn't go any longer than that. But while it's marinating in the fridge, move on to this next step and get the sauce ready for your eggplant stir fry. So basically, you're taking all the ingredients, gonna throw them all into a mixing bowl and mix them together. For the sake, I used a Mexican sake by the name of Nami, I believe. I'll have to double check that and add it into the description, but it's a fantastic sake and it's more on the drier side. So, you don't want to have anything too sweet because you're adding sugar to this as well, and you don't want to offset that balance right there. Now, as we finish mixing the sauce together, put it off to the side, pull your eggplant out, and notice not very much oxidation, which is kind of what we want. Great. But at the same time, it's marinated in the brine. I used a kitchen towel to dry these off. Feel free to use a paper towel, napkin, but you want to get these as dry as you possibly can. So I applied quite a bit of pressure to them to, extrude all of that salt water brine out of them. You don't want to bang them with a pan or anything to get the moisture out. Just be firm with pressing down on the eggplant. You don't necessarily really want them to rip or tear or shred anyway, but again, apply the appropriate amount of force to pat them dry. After I dried out all my eggplant, I started making some white jasmine rice. Make sure you wash your rice. It's not necessarily required, but I like rinsing my rice off. It helps get some of the starch off the rice, and it allows the rice to have like nice, beautiful individual pieces, and it's not sticky or clumpy. But next, we're going to move on to the final stir fry. Take note that my pan is a little different than last time. I purposely kind of scrubbed off the seasoning that I had on there because I want to do a video on me properly seasoning it. However, it's still slick as ever, and it works great. Like, nothing stuck to the bottom of the pan. It's just not visually appealing. But again, the more you use it, the more of a patina it's going to form, and it'll season itself as you continuously use it. So if this happens to you, don't be afraid. As you can see, we added a little bit of canola oil to the pot, and we started to saute our stir fry, our eggplant. I'm not necessarily doing the stir frying step now. What I'm doing is searing it off and getting a little bit of color on there. You don't need to get some color on it, but I wanted to, so I did. I'm gonna be preparing these in batches, again, because electric stove, smaller, slower, more time consuming. It's okay, it's fine. I just wanted to make sure that I did it right, and I didn't want my eggplant to soak up any excess oil that it didn't really need to. So as you can see, off to the top right corner is the other bits and pieces of the eggplant. And now to the actual stir frying step. So it's always important to have all your mise en place ready to go when stir frying. You want to make sure you have all your ingredients readily accessible and right next to you, because if you're stir frying over an open flame, this step moves quick, and so does cooking in a wok. Just going to take a tiny bit more time with the electric stove, so bear with me here. As I placed all the eggplant back into the wok, I'm going to go ahead and add my scallions, my ginger, my garlic, and give it a quick toss just to coat a little bit. I also added a touch of sugar to this, and a little tiny pinch of salt, some MSG as well, which I didn't put in the description, but it's in there. Mixed around, and as this heats through a little bit, since I can't necessarily get that wok flavor or get the caramelization on the sauce, you'll see me kind of pour the sauce in the center of the pot or the wok and drizzle the rest around the edges. So this way it kind of caramelizes, a little rapidly, and then I'll toss the eggplant just to make sure it's all nice and well coated. But you want to bring this down so it turns into a slightly thicker sauce. You don't necessarily really want it too runny. As you can see, the sauce beautifully coats all the eggplant, and that's where you want it, kill the heat and let's plate this thing. As I said before, this dish is versatile. I served it with some steamed jasmine rice and allowed the rice to soak up all the delicious flavor and the sauce from the eggplant. It's also great, again, with chicken, which is why I included some quick roasted chicken to the dish. You'll see it in just a moment. But it's also going to work great with fish, and it's hearty enough to stand on its own as a vegetarian or a vegan meal. Just garnish it with a little bit of scallion, some togarashi, sesame seeds, and you're good to go. You're going to have a fantastic meal. You're going to feel so warm and comforted by it. And yeah, like, add this to your dinners, please. As you finish watching me plate this, that's gonna do it for today's episode of Cookbook Chronicles. I hope you enjoyed cooking along with me or watching me cook, and I hope that you're gonna give this recipe a try. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Like, let me know if you're gonna try this dish, if you even like eggplant at all, or another wok recipe that you'd like to see me cook. I really just appreciate everyone that's tuned in and stayed here for this long. So please, would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Enjoy.